Hello, brother, you've been told to listen to her words, to believe what she says, to trust the version of herself she carefully presents. But what if I told you, the truth doesn't live in her stories. It lives in the silences between them, in the way her eyes shift when she speaks of love, in the flinch you barely notice when you touch the places no one has touched in years, not her body, but her soul. This isn't about judgment. This is about clarity, because a man who sees clearly is a man who cannot be manipulated. You're not here to play therapist. You're here to discern. Is this woman bringing peace to your life or inviting chaos dressed as charm? In this video, we won't decode her words. We'll decode her wounds, her patterns, her silence, and her body's forgotten language that still tells the truth when the mouth won't. If you've ever wanted to truly understand the emotional blueprint of a woman, not what she says she needs, but what she cannot hide, you're in the right place. Welcome to the emotional battlefield most men walk into blind, but not you. Today, you learn to see. 1. Her silence speaks louder than your questions, if you know how to listen. Hey, brother, there's a cruel, relentless truth about human nature. Most men never learn until it's too late. It's not what she says that reveals her. It's what she shows when she thinks you're not watching. You can ask all the right questions. You can get all the polished answers. But if you're not paying attention to the spaces between her words, the pauses, the glances, the way she talks about others, when no one's watching, you'll miss the truth. And the truth is this: every woman brings history into your life. Not just her story, but the emotional blueprint built from pain, protection, betrayal, or healing. And she won't tell you these things directly. She'll show them in the way she lights up when she gets attention, the way her eyes sharpen when another woman walks by, the way her voice changes when she talks about men or her father or herself. You're not here to interrogate her. You're here to observe her. Because when you observe her without bias, without needing to fix or own her, you begin to see her. And that sight, that clarity, it saves you from entering a storm you thought was a love story. Watch how she reacts when the spotlight isn't on her. When she talks about women, does she sound at peace? Or is she still fighting an invisible rivalry? When you share something vulnerable, does she soften or freeze? She might say she wants depth but lives for attention. She might say she values honesty but sharpens her voice every time you get too close. She might say she's healed but flinches every time you cancel plans. And most men, they never notice. They hear the words and ignore the emotional code underneath. But you're different, because you know her past lives in her posture, her tone, her defensiveness, her jokes. You know that every unresolved wound has a voice, and it speaks through behavior. This is the essence of emotional mastery. This is what separates the Stoic man from the distracted, desperate, approval-seeking crowd. You don't chase validation. You read patterns. You don't get hypnotized by her beauty. You stay awake to her depth or her damage. Because here's the truth: the woman you choose is the emotional ecosystem you enter. If she's still addicted to attention, you will never be enough. If she's still fighting other women in her mind, you'll be just another battlefield. If she shuts down during conflict, you'll spend your future apologizing for problems she never explains. So don't rush. Watch. Not with suspicion, but with clarity. Let her reveal who she is, not through curated stories, but through the emotional fingerprints she leaves on every conversation, every glance, every silence. And when you see her clearly, without illusion, without fantasy, without denial, you'll know whether you're entering her heart or walking into her unresolved pain. Now comment below: I observe, I don't interrogate. 2. What her relationship with attention reveals about her past. She says she's just friendly. She says she's just confident. She says she doesn't even notice the compliments, the DMs, the looks at the gym. But her body language tells a different story. The way she lights up when attention enters the room. The way her voice rises when she mentions how all the guys keep flirting. The way she watches your reaction when she says it, carefully calculating. You're not paranoid. You're reading a pattern. And brother, behind that pattern is a simple truth. A woman's relationship with attention reveals her emotional history more than her words ever will. Most women don't crave attention for fun. They crave it because they once lacked it badly, maybe in childhood, maybe in a relationship where she felt invisible, maybe in a season of life where her worth was never acknowledged. So now she collects admiration like oxygen. Every glance, every compliment becomes a hit of dopamine, a tiny high, a moment where she finally feels seen. It's not vanity, it's survival. But here's the problem. When admiration becomes addiction, no amount of validation will satisfy her. You could be the most attentive man alive. Text her first. Tell her she's beautiful. Celebrate her wins. But if she's emotionally wired to need attention to feel worthy, she will look for it everywhere. And eventually, if your attention becomes too predictable, she will chase it elsewhere. Not always physically, but emotionally, through dress, through posting, through casual stories about other men. And that's when you realize you're not her man. You're her mirror, her spotlight, her audience. She doesn't love you. She loves being seen by you. So how do you read the difference? Simple. Watch how she responds to silence, not neglect. Silence. If you delay the compliment, if you don't like her photo right away, if you remain calm while other men stare, does she relax into your presence, or does she get nervous, restless, needing reassurance? Does she make you feel like her center, or just one of many satellites orbiting her need to be desired? Because the woman who has healed from neglect, she doesn't light up at every compliment. She lights up from connection, not attention. She doesn't tell stories to make you jealous. She tells stories that invite intimacy. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." So here's your fate, brother. If you don't observe her relationship with attention, you'll mistake emotional addiction for affection. You'll think she loves you when in truth she only loves what your eyes give her. So slow down, watch, ask yourself, does she need attention or does she need healing? And are you the man who feeds her ego or helps her feel safe enough to finally put it down? Now comment below. I see beyond her beauty. I watch her patterns. 3. What her words about other women secretly reveal. She says she doesn't get along with women, that most of her friends are guys, that girls are too fake, too dramatic, always jealous. She laughs as she says it, like it's nothing. But you feel something deeper under the surface. Not pride, not peace, but pain. Brother, pay attention, because the way a woman talks about other women says more about her emotional history than any answer she gives about her past. You don't need to ask if she was betrayed, or if she's jealous, or if she still competes with someone who's not even in her life anymore. She's already telling you every time she calls other women messy, every time she casually mentions how most women are shady, every time she rolls her eyes when another woman walks by, she's not talking about them. She's talking about her reflection. This is projection in its rawest form. And here's the Stoic truth. A woman at peace with herself does not see enemies everywhere. She doesn't need to tear others down to stand tall. She doesn't need to compete with shadows from her past. She doesn't need to be the exception to femininity, but a woman who still carries the wounds of betrayal, comparison, or deep insecurity, she will. She may have grown up with a cold mother, been betrayed by female friends, abandoned in her moments of vulnerability, and now every woman becomes a threat. Every compliment to someone else becomes a silent blow. Every perfect-looking girl becomes a reminder of what she thinks she lacks. That's not cruelty, that's emotional residue. But if you don't see it for what it is, you'll mistake her defensiveness for confidence, her gossip for honesty, her shade toward others as loyalty to you. And you'll learn too late that a woman who tears others down will eventually turn that energy on you. You'll be the one accused of being like the rest. You'll be the one she mistrusts when your female coworker texts. You'll be the one she quietly resents for loving her when she can't fully love herself. Carl Jung taught that the shadow, the parts of us we suppress, often reveals itself in judgment of others. So when she speaks about women, ask yourself, is she revealing healing or hiding wounds? Does her voice carry softness or a sharpened edge? Is she celebrating others or defending herself from ghosts? You don't need to fix her. You don't need to call her out. But you do need to decide, are you falling in love with a woman or stepping into a battleground she never left? Now comment below. Her words about others show me her peace or her pain. 4. Her conflict style isn't random, it's a roadmap to her past. You say the wrong thing, or show up late, or forget to text back. She goes silent, or explodes, or pulls away completely, and you're left wondering, what just happened? Was it really about the text, the tone, the plan? No, brother, it's never about that. It's about the blueprint, because the way a woman handles conflict is not a random reaction. It's a psychological roadmap to how she survived emotional pain in the past. Every withdrawal is a defense. Every sharp word is a shield. Every escalation is a warning flare launched from the battlefield of her emotional history. And most men, they take it personally. They argue, apologize too fast, try to fix it before understanding it. But the Stoic man, the emotionally literate man, observes, because he knows her current behavior is repetition, not creation. She's repeating what worked before, what protected her, what allowed her to keep some sense of control in moments that once made her feel powerless. So when she shuts down because you changed plans, maybe someone in her past made her feel disposable. When she lashes out because you didn't notice her new hair or dress, maybe she once poured her heart into someone who never saw her. When she accuses you of being distant after one slow day, maybe her emotional needs were used against her before, and now she strikes before being struck. You see, women often aren't angry at you. They're angry at the memory of not being safe. And here's the deeper truth. Her conflict style will predict your future. You can't build with someone who self-destructs when things get real. You can't lead a relationship where every disagreement becomes war. You can't love someone who still believes love equals abandonment. But you can observe, with presence, with boundaries, with clarity. When you see her in conflict, ask yourself, is she trying to communicate or trying to protect? Is she reacting to me or to something older than me? Because in that moment, you're not just witnessing her behavior, you're witnessing her history, and you must decide. Will you step into her pain or protect your peace? Carl Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Her conflict style is her unconscious. It's what she doesn't say. It's how she fights for love, because that's how she learned love works. So be still, be clear, and if you must walk away, do so not in anger, but with wisdom. Now comment below. Her reactions show me her history. I respond with clarity. 5. Her words about the past are clues, if you know how to listen between the lines. She doesn't tell you the full story, not at first. She drops hints, casual phrases, quiet references, fragmented memories wrapped in offhand comments like, "Back then things were rough. After everything that happened, I had to start over." She doesn't look at you when she says it, or she changes the subject, or she smiles a little too quickly, and you might be tempted to dig, to ask, what happened? To piece together the timeline, to get the full picture, but don't. Because the Stoic man doesn't interrogate the past, He observes how it leaks into the present. A woman's relationship timeline reveals itself not through her confessions, but through her casual mentions. If she says, "We used to love that restaurant, there was someone before you." If she avoids certain months, years, places, she's still healing from them. If her voice flattens when talking about love, she hasn't rebuilt her faith in it yet. You don't need a full history. You need emotional literacy. Because here's the truth. A woman who's healed doesn't avoid timelines. She owns them. She may still carry the scars, but not the silence. But a woman still haunted by her past, she'll skip dates, gloss over names, mention "we" without telling you who he was. Not to hide, but because the pain isn't fully processed. And here's what most men miss. The way she talks about her past tells you how ready she is for your future. If she can't name it, she hasn't faced it. If she rushes through it, she's still running. If she can't describe what she learned, only what she survived, she's still carrying it. And you deserve to know whether you're entering her present or walking into the ruins of her past. Carl Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, and accepting one's past is part of that." So when she speaks, don't just listen to the content. Listen to the tone, the breath before the sentence, the story she tells without words. Does she speak with light or with a shadow behind her smile? You don't need every detail. You just need one truth. Is she emotionally available or emotionally surviving because your love is not a rescue mission? It's an invitation to build. Now comment below. I listened to her past without asking. I read what's not said. 6. When she talks about men, she's actually talking about her wounds. She laughs and says, "Men are trash." She jokes, "You're probably like the rest." She shrugs when a male character cheats in a movie and mutters, "Typical." You want to believe she's kidding. You want to believe she's just been around the wrong ones. You want to believe that with you, it'll be different. But here's the truth, brother. How she speaks about men in general reveals how she expects you to hurt her. It's not a personality trait. It's not sass. It's not strength. It's emotional memory. The quiet echo of betrayal, abandonment, manipulation, or disappointment projecting itself onto the entire masculine world. And if you're not careful, you'll walk straight into a relationship where you're not a man. You're a defense mechanism, a symbol, a test, an unpaid debt from someone who came before you. Her bitterness isn't a flaw, it's a scar. And every time she speaks about men with venom in her voice, she's revealing where she still bleeds. Carl Jung taught that what we do not heal, we project. So when she jokes too often about being hurt, left used, when she assumes you'll lie, cheat, disappear, when she struggles to receive your kindness without suspicion, that's not about you. That's about the version of masculinity her nervous system still fears. And you need to ask yourself, are you ready to live under the shadow of someone else's mistakes? Can you love someone who doesn't believe love and men can coexist? Because if her view of men is shaped by pain and not healing, she won't believe you're calm. She won't trust your consistency. She won't relax into your leadership. She'll fight it, sabotage it, test it again and again. Not because you failed her, but because someone else did. And she never rewrote the story. You're not here to be her savior. You're here to be recognized for who you are, not mistaken for who came before. So listen closely when she talks about men. Is there softness, understanding, balance, or just edge, cynicism, and quiet rage that will tell you more than any romantic moment ever could? Because how she sees men in general is how she will eventually see you, especially when things get hard. Now comment below. Her beliefs about men are the mirror of her pain or her peace. 7. Her father is the first blueprint, and you're walking into the architecture. She talks about family over dinner, mentions her dad in passing, says he was around, I guess, and changes the subject. Or maybe she lights up. talks about how he taught her to stay calm, how he showed up when no one else did. And in that moment, you get a glimpse, not into him, but into her emotional foundation. Because, brother, how a woman speaks about her father is never just about him. It's about what she learned to expect from men. You don't need to ask direct questions. You just need to listen for the undertones. If she speaks with warmth, ease, respect, it usually means she had stability, structure, a model of masculine presence that didn't disappear when things got hard. But if she speaks with bitterness, with distance, with indifference, that's not just a story, that's architecture. Her nervous system is wired for either trust or tension based on the first man who was supposed to show her love, protection, and boundaries. A distant father. She may struggle to believe you'll stay. A controlling one. She may rebel, test you, resent leadership. An absent one. She may chase attention to feel seen, then reject intimacy the moment it feels real. Carl Jung said the father is destiny, not because she chooses him again, but because she either repeats or reacts to his shadow. And here's where men get trapped. You think love will fix it. That patience will rewrite her wiring, that if you're different enough, she'll finally relax. But no matter how kind, present, or strong you are, if she hasn't healed her father wound, you will always be caught in the echo. So don't ignore the clues. Does she trust your calm or brace for the moment you pull away? Does she test your loyalty or trust your presence? Does she open up or keep you at a safe emotional distance? Because you're not just dating her, you're walking into the emotional house that man built or abandoned. And unless she's conscious of it, you'll pay rent for walls you didn't raise. You're not here to be her father. You're not here to fix what he broke. You're here to lead your life love clearly and recognize when her blueprint is solid or when it's built on cracks too deep for love alone to fill. Now, comment below. Her tone about him tells me what I'm walking into. 8. Her emotional triggers aren't random. They're echoes of what she's still processing. You say something small, you cancel a plan, you forget to reply right away, and suddenly something shifts. She goes silent, or gets sharp, or says, "Forget it, it's fine." But her tone betrays her. You didn't yell, you didn't insult her, you didn't even mean harm. So what just happened? You touched a nerve, an old one. Because, brother, here's the truth. What triggers her emotionally reveals what she hasn't yet made peace with. It's not about you being wrong. It's about her pain still being active. When she overreacts to something small, it's because that small thing isn't small to her nervous system. Being left out. Maybe she had a parent who forgot her too many times. Being misunderstood. Maybe she spent years in a relationship where her emotions were dismissed. Being told, calm down. Maybe that's exactly what someone told her before hurting her. And when you hit that wire, knowingly or not, you don't just deal with her reaction. You're facing the ghost of her past. Carl Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." Most people avoid that pain, so it buries itself in reflex, in reaction, in those moments that feel irrational but are anything but. And the Stoic man, he doesn't panic, he doesn't personalize, he observes. You don't walk on eggshells, but you do walk with awareness, because what she doesn't cry over tells you just as much as what she does. If she watches a movie about abandonment and suddenly goes quiet, that's not entertainment, that's recognition. If she shrugs off your emotional share like it's nothing, she's not cold, she's numb. She's worn emotional armor for so long that vulnerability now feels foreign, maybe even threatening. And here's the key. You're not there to be her therapist. You're there to decide, can I love her for who she is while accepting what she's still carrying? Because if her emotional system is ruled by past trauma, every disagreement becomes a war you didn't start. You need to know. Is she aware of her triggers? Can she own them, or is she still enslaved by wounds she refuses to name? This is how you protect your peace. You observe, you empathize, and if necessary, you walk, not because she's broken, but because you know your love is sacred, and sacred love does not belong in a battlefield of unprocessed pain. Now comment below. Her triggers are reflections, not attacks. I see the difference. 9. You don't need to ask. Her body already tells you the truth. She says everything's fine. She smiles. She plays along. But there's a delay in her voice, a flicker in her eyes, a tightness in her shoulders you can feel before she even speaks. You ask, "Are you okay?" She says, "Yeah, just tired." But she's not tired. She's guarded. And this is the final truth most men never realize until they're deep in a relationship they don't understand. The body reveals what the words are still trying to hide. You don't need to ask 20 questions. You don't need to analyze her social media. You don't need to dissect her stories about her ex. You just need to observe. Her flinch when plans change. Her pause before saying, "I trust you." The way she reacts when you praise her or when you don't. Because everything she's buried, her pain, her fear, her unresolved chaos, leaks into the subtle. It shows up in how quickly she looks away when she feels seen, how she clings to praise but downplays connection, how she rushes into intimacy but freezes when real vulnerability appears. Carl Jung said, "The unconscious does not lie," and her unconscious lives in her reactions, not her answers, not her stories, not even her personality. It lives in the spaces between. That's where the truth is. That's where you, as a Stoic man, must learn to see. Because if you rely only on her words, you'll be led by a mask shaped by protection, survival, and deep emotional habits. But if you read her energy, you'll know whether you're meeting her or the armor she built long before you arrived. This is not about suspicion, it's about emotional precision. When you touch her waist and she stiffens, when you cancel plans and she gets quiet, when you open up and she brushes past it, don't overanalyze, just take note. Because you're not here to fix her, you're here to decide. Does this woman bring me peace or patterns? Is she grounded or is she still performing survival? And you'll never know that by asking directly. You'll know it by watching what she does when her guard is down, when she's not performing, when she's just being. That's when the truth walks into the room. And a real man, he doesn't run from it. He sees it clearly and chooses without fantasy, without fear. Now comment below. I don't listen to the words, I read the silence. And now, brother, you see the signs. Not because she told you, but because now you've learned to read what's hidden. Her need for attention isn't vanity, it's history. Her silence in conflict isn't peace, it's fear. Her jokes about men, echoes of betrayal. You're no longer listening just to her words. You're listening to her pain, to her body's truth, to her past speaking through the present. And this is where power begins. Not the kind that dominates, but the kind that chooses with wisdom, that walks away when necessary, that protects its peace like sacred ground. Don't forget, a beautiful woman is not always a safe one, and a woman who hides her wounds behind charm can still bleed into your life. But now you'll recognize it, and choose not from hope, but from clarity, because as Marcus Aurelius said, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. You've seen the truth now. Let it guide your next step. Now speak out and comment below. I trust what I observe more than what I'm told. And if this gave you the clarity you never got before, subscribe, because this is just the beginning.